Welcome back to the DJ Sessions, where we feature the best DJs and producers, and sometimes other people from different parts of the industry from around the world. I'm your host, Darren, and right now I'm sitting in the virtual studios in Seattle, Washington, with none other coming in all the way from New York City, the island of Manhattan, on 27th is that what you said, Katie?
By the Flatiron, yeah.
By the Flatiron, Katie Chonacas. Did I say that right?
Chonacas.
No, Chonacas. I'm new. My Greek can be a little bit off, but it'll be all good. Katie, how are you doing today?
Yeah, I'm doing well, thank you. I'm fighting a little bit of a cold, but it was well worth it.
Well, I have to say, when I reached out to you as a DJ producer, wanting to have you come on the show, I didn't know what I was getting involved with. And when I went to do my research on you, I found out you're not just a DJ/producer. You are a director, producer, an actress, an author, poet, filmmaker, podcaster, and NFT artist. Did I leave anything out?
I do voiceovers every single day, commercials, video games, animation, and I'm an on-screen actor, comedy and drama. Yeah. So I'm not only am I directing, producing, but acting as well.
Definitely. We'll be talking about that a little bit later in the show. But most recently, you had a book called A Lover's Fairytale released, a poetry book on love. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Sure. Yeah. A Lover's Fairytale is my experience of traveling the world and appreciating that what was given to us in this life and wanting to just fully experience that for myself before getting into a relationship with someone, before giving myself to another. I wanted to understand why I was here first and foremost. And I know through literature, we can travel anywhere around the world. I know there's a lot of introverts out there. I know there's a lot of people who don't get on planes, who don't leave their hometowns ever, and respect to those people. But I know through literature, they can be a part of it too. And, it's a fantasy. I grew up with Greek mythology and different poets and unconditional love. And so I wanted to, pay it forward and take, out of thousands of my poetry pieces, I chose 11 that were my absolute favorite that I actually made spoken word music videos to as well. And I wanted to be able to share that with all genders and all ages. So a child could read it, a parent could read it to their child, an adult can read it. So I wanted to make it for everybody and make it really positive and, deep in love for Mother Nature and the universe.
And in your travels, you're not originally from the States, is that correct?
Well, my dad's family's from Greece. I was born in America.
Oh, okay. But you traveled and lived in both countries going back and forth. Is that correct?
I go to Greece often, every 2 summers. Well, now it's because of what happened. I haven't been in 3 summers, but I like to go every other summer. I love traveling the world. Yeah. Any
favorite places you like to visit when you're over there?
Oh, I love the island of Naxos, Naxos. It's one of my favorite Greek islands. I call it the Cherry Island because it's very traditional. It's not, when you think of Greece, sometimes people just think of blue and white, and it's very touristy. But when you go to Naxos, there's a lot of ruins there. There's a lot of traditional land there. A lot of the people go there. I really love that island. It's a huge island, and I think it's the 3rd largest export for marble. And so when you're going around and you're looking at these huge mountains, you can see the marble on these mountains. And also, I know it's very famous for exporting potatoes. So they have amazing potatoes. Well, if you go there, but I love lemon potatoes. Yeah.
You're making me hungry. It's lunchtime over here. Yeah. After we're done with this, I'm gonna make one of my big breakfast brunch lunches. So I think I'm gonna throw some potatoes in there now you talked about it.
Yum. Now make a Greek salad or get stuff to start making. I love making a good Greek salad.
I got some feta cheese in the fridge.
There you go.
Love it. Yeah. Absolutely. Now, moving on just a little bit, going into, you also do a podcast called She's All Over the Place. What was the concept? What was the design of She's All Over the Place? What's that all about?
There's 2 distinct meanings. One I found out later on, but one, because I'm a world traveler. And so literally, and I'm into so many different things in the arts. So it's I'm all over the place. Everyone's like, oh, focus, do one thing, focus, do one thing. But how can you focus and do one thing when there's so many great, beautiful things in life to enjoy and to explore? And I don't want to, get older and then regret missing out on something I didn't do now. So it's like, I'd rather do it, try and experience it all, which I have for over 2 decades now. So I can get more grounded with, and everything I've done, gratefully, has been a success. Anything I've touched has turned to gold, right? And success is measured. So I feel very deep in gratitude for all the things I experienced, traveling the world. And so, yeah, traveling the world and being involved in different areas of life and arts and spirituality. That's why she's all over the place. Also, through the journey of she's all over the place, I realized a lot of times by being such a go-getter, by running around, by being all over the place, by going nonstop, it was a way to avoid certain internal feelings that I was feeling inside, insecurities, facing stuff that would come up. It was easier to just to turn a blind eye or to run or to go really fast and not think twice about it, because I didn't want to feel the pain. I didn't want to feel the depths of what now I've allowed to come up, So she's all over the place also is homage to, finding oneself and through the journey of life. So it's kind of like the meanings of she's all over the place.
I can definitely see that. But the wonderful thing is you've brought it all together. When I was researching you, I was going through your website first and then was going through your socials and going through everything. And it reminded me a lot about like how I am. A lot of people always see me and they're like, how can you keep all this going? What is going on? Like my own team can't stay up with my Discords usually. All the messages that I'm sending them, there's always something new. You're always working on something new. And it's always everything that I want to go after. Like you mentioned, it kind of turns to gold. It works out because I see a bigger vision or a bigger picture. But to some people, it looks like I'm all over the place, which is just kind of interesting.
Love that. 2 things. One, I've been wanting to have my Discord set up too. I think it's a great way for communication and breaking things down. The other thing is, do you know your human design?
No.
Okay,
maybe.
So you go to my body graph, GRAPH, mybodygraph.com. It's free and you can find out your human design. There's 5 different types. And based on what you just said, I'm a projector. So I'm a visionary. I can see the micro, the middle and the macro, right? And so I'm more of this visionary. It's like a projector, like a movie projector. It's like watching it on the screen, like you're a visual person and it all ties together, right? So you might be a projector. 23% of the population are projectors, and all the other 4 types want to be around projectors because they're the ones that make things happen, who have the vision, who get things done.
I could definitely see that. I'm on the website right now.
Yeah.
I'm going to do that. I got a note to do it.
A lot of people in their relationships, they find out their types to see how they're compatible. A lot of parents now are having their children do their human design because a lot of times you might be emotionally upset. My partner's not doing this. My child's not doing this. And they'll get emotional. But when you know your design, they're like, oh, they're not designed to be this way. This is their design. Yeah. So a lot of people in the workplace, they'll have like workplace holiday parties and stuff. And in the workplace, people will know each other's human designs. So, instrumentally, like I'm really good at this. This person's good at this. So it's really cool. Check it out. Yeah.
I hear it. Let me share something with you. I did have this a long time ago. My mom, have you ever heard of personalysis? It's basically like, this one here.
Cool.
And so I had this done on me, and I tend to usually be more in the reds and yellows, which I don't know if it's the same kind of thing, but if anyone wants to go back and check that out, it's pretty cool stuff. But it's shows you're rational, you're socialized, you're instinctive type traits. And I've had personality tests done on me in the past, and I think that projector, I like that one. I think that's right where I probably would to fit in,
Yeah.
But it's always that go getting, like some people just say, I don't know how you do it. And I'm like, Well, I get an idea in my head, I research it, I put it out there, and I say, I want to complete this and I want to get this done. And boom, it happens.
Mm-hmm.
But
Yeah,
some people just,
you're connected to source in that way, and so am I.
mm,
And it's from the gut, it's from that intuitive hit that you mentioned, like that initial hit.
mhm.
A lot of people are living from the throat up, so it's overanalyzing. The brain is a tool, and then the communication chakra, from the throat, instead of sensorily like experiencing it, emotional intelligence through the body, listening to the heart, the soul, and the gut. And because we can read books all day or listen to audiobooks all day, there's one thing about understanding and comprehending it. There's another hack of applying it and putting it to the test. Just like when you have a visionary idea, we may have all these ideas and we're birthing all these great ideas, but to actually actualize the 1 through the 10, you need that team to support, because we can have the vision of it, but it's the 99 through the 2 that takes the work to materialize these ideas.
Absolutely. And again, it looks like you have a plethora of stuff going on, but you're wrangling it and molding it and making it go forward. At least that's what it looks on the outside. I mean, but like I said, I think I can gravitate and understand what goes on. There's just so much stuff going on. And, she's all over the place, really kind of rings. I can see how it rings true with your definition of what that show means to you.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah. And speaking of being all over the place, you recently just debuted a solo album titled Dreamland 1111. And that's under your name, Saint Kyriaki. Exactly. I say that one right?
Yeah, definitely.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Tell us a little bit about that solo album. What got you to go to make that?
Sure. So I grew up in the Detroit electronic underground music scene before DJs were popular in Western civilization. I was a teenager going to Plastic Man and Carl Cox and Bad Boy Bill, and I love Bad Boy Bill. He's the homie. I've admired him ever since I was literally a teenager, and he's just such a pioneer. So he's always been my DJ anchor in the world, my EDM anchor. I actually went on tour with Paul Oakenfold. I was dancing, opening up for dancing on stage when Paul was doing a set for the Area 51 concert. Nelly Furtado was on that tour, Moby, I think Carl Craig, Carl Cox. But yeah, I grew up in the Detroit electronic music underground scene, going to rave parties nonstop. Everyone listening and or watching probably knows, like, Detroit and Berlin are the twin towers of music, of techno, so that's like mad deep respect. I feel that energy. I would go to parties in Chicago. A lot of people would come to Detroit for the parties. I was so lucky to be birthed in the suburbs and be able to go to those parties. My mom and dad didn't like it too much, but at that age, am I thinking about my parents' feelings? No, I'm thinking about like dancing my heart out and raw, right? And so I was really, really connected with music and sound. And I also grew up with my mom being a singer in Motown, with the melodies and the harmonies. So, and the language was all about unconditional love. And being a poet, I would listen to the harmonies and the melodies and the language of Motown, and we'd be singing, 45 minutes one way to church, growing up. And yeah, and so, but then I had the technical aspect of, going to these underground parties. So I learned about, like 16 bars, like longer bars, transitions, and just having that vibe and that flow. It was just trained, although I wasn't in school. Then I always wanted to be a DJ, but it was a lot of masculine energy. And the only way, divine feminine energy, or quote unquote females at the time, were learning about DJing, there wasn't DJ music school. It was not that I knew about, it was if you were in a relationship and then the boyfriend taught you. So all the girls that I knew who were DJing, it was because, their boyfriend already had the equipment, and the equipment can be very expensive. I didn't have anyone telling me. My parents were worried about me being out. So I didn't have them saying like, hey, let's go to Guitar Center. Let's get you a used turntable. Like, that would have been a smart thing, but I guess I wasn't very smart back then, but that would have been a smart thing that I could have did, was get something used and play on some pads or something like that. But I didn't. And life took me on a journey. And I went to Hollywood. I was acting. I was, getting my feet wet in the industry. I ended up touring with 50 Cent and G Unit, around Europe and South Africa, which was amazing. I was going by Katie Coco. I had some, the producer, this producer Luigi Gonzalez, he did, So Into You, my first solo under Katie Coco that took me on tour of 50 Cent and Destiny Dynasty. And they were very EDM-ish. And we co-wrote the songs together. I brought my poetry books, my poetry Bibles, and then we just went through it all, but then we rewrote some songs. So then I was on this journey, and it was Gaga was just buzzing. Lady Gaga was just buzzing. I was on tour, Who Kids. It's on YouTube. You could probably put it in the show notes, but it's on YouTube, and 50's or not 50, 50's in the back, 50's backstage going like this. I'm going to tell them to put their motherfucking hands up, and they're going to do it. And they did, because we were at dinner the night before. I'm going all over the place here, but we were at dinner the night before. And he was like, yo, because I was opening up for him. And he's like, we were at dinner, and he's like, do you want to open up for me? And then when I'm doing my set, come out and do it again. And I'm my jaw dropped. I'm yeah. So it was he was giving me a dope opportunity. He's so kind. He's so sweet. I love him. He's like a teddy bear. I love him. So then he's backstage doing that. The video's on YouTube. We can put in the show notes. And then, I do my performance. I'm about to go on stage, and Who Kids it's not Britney, bitch, because they were trying to make me, not 50 and G Unit, but they who are they, but it was kind of I was going into this realm of something between Britney and Gaga, and I was doing my music, and then I was doing my spoken word, and I was working with this producer who put EDM beats to my poetry. And so I started making music videos, which is when you get my poetry book or sign up for my website, I have an automation that sends you the self-produced spoken word music videos that I did, and a lot of them have the electronic beats. So I'm on this electronical journey, although I'm acting and producing and traveling and, doing all these different things and doing voiceovers. And then I stopped doing music for a while, because I felt no one was getting my sound. I felt maybe I was just ahead of my time, right? And it just wasn't happening. So I ended up finding out through Nikki Scorpio, who's my duo in the Sophisticated Psychos. We have music streaming everywhere, and we're going to drop a bunch of stuff on the blockchain. But he told me about this DJ music school in LA. So I was oh, word. I'm I've always had this connection to electronic music, to DJs, all producing this, and that. And so I'm let me go to DJ school. And I did a 1-year program. I did the program. Let me find out what kind of DJ I am, because, I'm Greek, so I can DJ Greek weddings. And a lot of Israeli music is very much the Greek tradition. So I'm going all over the place again here, but the thing is, I wanted to see what kind of DJ I am. And although I love hip hop, I'm not very good with the transitions with mixing in the songs. I'm just not the 4 bars, the 8 bars, whatever, or even with lyrics. I'm much better, because of my EDM background. I'm much better with instrumental music. I just am. And it's my passion. It's I'm not a hip hop DJ, and that's cool, So I went to school to find out. And also I don't want to carry around a bunch of records. I understand the respect of the scratching and stuff. Trust me, I love the crawl. I love, the lingo of all that jazz. That's not my specialty. I have other specialties, but I respect it. So I wanted to find out what kind of DJ I was. So I love having the digital board, the 4 decks, so I can travel. If I go to Bali or Chicago or wherever, I can, I can take it right on the plane and not lose my beautiful babies. But also I like 4 decks, because I like having not 2, but I have 1 turntable, right? I have an Audio Technica, and it's digital, so I can still scratch, which I love to do as a fun of being a DJ, but have the turntable and have it be plugged into one of the channels. right? So that's my setup of one turntable, but it's digital, so I don't have to carry around the records. And I have the DJI XX2. So that's what I have. So that's my setup. And I was like so happy that I went to DJ music school so I could understand the culture more, respect the craft and everything. And so that's kind of like my experience in a nutshell. And to wrap it up, I with the question, because it's like a very long one and it's very exciting. I created the duo, the Sophisticated Psychos. So we have music there. And then he's going on his own musical journey and I'm going on mine. So I debuted on 11/11, Dreamland 11/11 under Saint Kyriaki, my birth name, my baptismal name. I was born with 2 first names. So Saint Kyriaki means Sunday in Greek, and she's a saint in the Greek tradition. And so I released Dreamland 11/11, and it was supposed to be, well, I thought it was supposed to be an EP. It ended up being a full album, and 4 out of the 11 tracks, I'm doing spoken word on it, and 7 out of the 11 are just instrumentals. And it's really awesome that I was able to release it on 11/11, not only in Web 2 streaming everywhere, but also on the blockchain in Web 3. So it's dubstep and future trap. That's the genre of this specific album. But I definitely love a lot of different genres.
That was a beautiful history of the walkthrough of how that all culminated and got right there, and you wrapped it up perfectly. I was listening to the album today, and it took me back a little bit to where I grew up in hip hop. I grew up listening to rap music. My brothers were musicians in a band. I grew up listening to rock music. My dad was into Queen and Fleetwood Mac and those kind of bands back in the day. And I found myself in the 80s getting into rap music. The early days of Run DMC and UTFO and these pioneers, Houdini and all of that. Beastie Boys, 86, 87, 88, Too Short later on, NWA, Biggie, Tupac, all that fun stuff. But what was funny is I was working at a couple music stores growing up as a kid, and I started to get I got drawn to electronic music in a way that wasn't necessarily house music or techno music at the time, because that's really what the 2 genres were. But I also got into really more down-tempo ambient kind of music in the background, and which later would sort of merge and get into trip hop with Tricky or Mono or Lamb or these other groups that I now listen to all the time. And I was just listening to your stuff today. It was phenomenal. I mean, it was like really took me back. I love instrumental because removing the lyrics from it. And one of the biggest things I like about electronic music is lyrics or no lyrics, it basically is a universal language in a sense.
1,000. Yeah. Music is the universal language. It means one song.
Yeah. And sometimes, it's not that lyrics, it's not that I don't like lyrics on songs, but that would give it definitive meaning in a sense. If you're saying traditionally boy meets girl, boy loses girl, boy gets back together with girl, or some concept template, or I'm sad or I'm happy, there's but when you go completely instrumental, it's kind of the mood you want to take it into, and I could see you're driving a mood, or you're driving an awareness with what you're doing with 11/11, with Dreamland 11/11. And I just want to say congratulations on that.
Thank you so much. And I love everything you said, and the groups you mentioned and the people. Also, we got to represent Nas too. You know what I'm saying?
Oh yeah, Nas.
LL Cool J and Nas, what up?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
I didn't list everyone's CD that I used to own as a kid, because I used to have thousands of CDs back in the day.
Of course. Remember the mini ones? Oh yeah. But the thing about music and DJing too, because I love colors and I love pads, right? So some people do it with different programs on the computer. For me, doing that technical stuff with the mouse on the computer, I close my throat chakra and then my brain, I stop breathing. So for me, it's more fun to do the pads. I like the pads, right? And so what I do is when I'm doing, like if I'm feeling joyful and I put it on the pads, or if I'm feeling angry or frustrated and I put it on the pads, putting it on the pads and hearing the beats is poetry, because with written poetry, it's language of words, but with the beats, it's written poetry of the instrumentals. It's the language of how I'm feeling, but it's through sound instead of reading it. You're feeling it.
I think that's one of the best summaries I've ever heard between the two of written and making beats, and like pen to paper and hands to pads, and not necessarily using the mouse. I've dabbled a little bit in music production, having to score things back in the past just for TV shows. And I said, I'm leaving that to the music. I'm leaving that to the producers. Let me do what I love doing best and let me be the executive producer. And then I'll find everyone else in it's worked so much better since then. But, I love the art of creating music or something that's nobody's ever heard before. And using so many tools that are available not knocking the one person who plays one instrument and not knocking the person who uses 1,000 different things and puts them all into a track. They're all composing something and putting that energy out there that's never been created before.
Well, two things. One, I just want to say thank you so much. That means a lot because you've had a lot of people on the show. You've met a lot of people. So to hear you say that is a huge compliment. Thank you. I appreciate your kind words. It really, really means a lot. And the other thing is, what you just said, it's about creation. It's not about the final product. The point is to create. So no matter how it is, we showed up to play, we showed up to create, we showed up for a good time, we showed up for ourselves to be inspired and inspired. And that's what music and creativity, I feel, is all about.
And it's amazing that some people hear something else, that people think that sometimes big artists, that everything they make, that they touch turns to gold. And I've talked to artists and they'll be like, no, I have 300 songs over here I haven't even completed yet. I've had 1 or 2, 5 that might make it a year, 6 that make it a year, but I got 300 over here. I got my collabs, I got my remixes, I got all this in the background. I have songs that I want to remix and I want to put in, and sometimes, sometimes they'll even produce outside of their own genre under an alias, and they'll release and nobody knows that it's them, so they don't take the heat. All that. And it's just interesting, that side of the business. Speaking of dance music, particularly, dance music is typically known for its hedonistic vibes. Do you think it can also be used for social awareness and political messaging at times?
What kind of music?
Dance music in general. Electronic music is kind of known for the hedonistic vibes, kind of dance, party, out there having fun. But do you think it can really be used for social awareness or political messaging at times?
1000%, of course. It's all about the representation of responsibility of how someone shares something. So for example, when I went to DJ music school, I found out through the DJ pools, I could download the dirty or the clean version. And I always opted into, if you look at my, my catalog, I have all the clean stuff. Because the thing is, in life, as a DJ, as a producer, when we show up, we set the tone of the event, of the party, of whatever, the corporation, whatever it may be. We set the tone. So if someone, I call them like white seeds and black seeds. Like if I play the clean version, but there's a swear word, someone on a psychological level who's dancing and partying in the vibe, they're already going to hear it in their mind. They're not going to notice the difference. But the people who are the angelic beings who maybe don't know the song, I have a social responsibility not to implement something that is a negative connotation, right? To torment them in a way. So when they leave the party, they're like, oh, well, that was played, or that was played, or this was said, or this tonality, this song was played, or, or hey, like Alan Watts was played. That was really cool, learning about consciousness, or like this was kind of mixed with this. And so I think that's really cool in that kind of regard without speaking. But I mean, as a DJ, there's a lot of MCs, so you can speak. So if one does, that's one. But if not, let's say the clean version, I have a social responsibility because I know it starts with me and it's a ripple effect. So then like, if there's 3 people, 30 or 300 at this party, when they leave and they go on to their dinner or be with their kids, or they go out to the next thing, they're going to feel it's a transfer of energy. So they're going to feel a certain way. So can I be a social communicator in a positive way to make an impact so they can go through their lives in a way, right? And so I think the psychology of being a DJ is, really important, especially what you just brought up. Like that's one area. I mean, I guess it could go to another area, as in like if, let's go to a politician of the president hiring a DJ to come and be the vibe or even speak on a matter. But I know this girl, she grew up in the community that I grew up. Her name's Mia Moretti. She's a DJ. I think she's a cool person. We're like acquaintances. We're friendly with some of the same people. And I've gone to a lot of her parties. And she, was invited to the White House by Hillary Clinton. I think she DJ'd the daughter's wedding. And so she was like, got very political as a DJ. I just remember like seeing it all happening while it was happening. And like she would also do these like amazing parties, New York and at the Chateau in LA and all these cool parties. And she brought this vibe. Like she didn't have a microphone speaking or anything that I saw when I went to her events, but she had this vibe, and the way she curated music was so unique that I think being like a DJ and a social communicator in that way sets the precedence of how people want to share.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. I think it takes me back. One of the things you said about setting the tone for the event, and you kind of have that control as a DJ to do that. And you have to gauge your audience as a whole. One of the things my company does is we do silent concerts or silent discos. You may have heard of those. And one of our clients one time it was a bar mitzvah, and they decided to do silent concert for it. And the kids, while the DJs that were playing the clean versions, the kids knew all the words to the songs, but they had the headsets on. So the music's playing the headsets and they're screaming the lyrics at the top of their lungs. And all of a sudden the parents look and go, and I go, it's not on. And the DJ was playing the clean version. It wasn't the bad version, but the kids didn't know and they couldn't hear how loud they were being. You got 100 kids screaming out loud all the swear words to the song.
This is the first time I've heard of this, but that is hilarious.
It was the cutest, most awesome thing in the entire world. But you're right. What I identified with is the person that knows the words to the song will play it in their head. The person that doesn't just goes, I don't know what they're saying. Okay, cool. But they don't leave with going. Yeah, they don't leave going, oh wow, there was like 5 swear words said to that song, and my 10-year-old daughter's here. Or I'm offended by like, oh, but the kid might know the words of the song, or people that know that the artist will know the words of the song. And you're right, it just goes right through and processes as it was saying. So it's just really, it was awesome. It kind of rings, it hit something with me when you said that definitely, if the messaging's there, it can come across. And thank you for sharing that.
Yeah, no, it's just to extend it over again, but especially like you said, with the kids and with corporations, having clean versions. And just also like I grew up since I was a kid, like I grew up in Detroit. So I was going to, Windsor when I was 15. I was in the club scene when I was 15. By time, you could go to Canada, I was done. I was traveling the world already. By the time you were 21, I was already moving to California. Like I like, you know what I mean? Like when I went to California and like Lindsay and Brittany and Paris and all them were like being all reckless and stuff. Like I did that when I was a kid. So I wasn't doing any of those things. I was showing up sober everywhere, but I saw what happened in the nightclubs and things like that. Not that I miss all goody two shoes or anything, but it's just like, I saw a lot of like not so good things happening to people too. So I just felt like it was a social responsibility as a mature younger person to like, not implement those things onto people, because one thing leads to another, and they do. And I'm not going to stop it. Just doesn't mean I don't have to be a part of it. And also, as a young person now, God willing, wanting to have a family in the near future, I can totally like DJ events during the day, corporate events, certain kind of nonprofits, and bring my kid, you know what I mean? And like do it for a few hours and have the kid actually be there, instead of, disassociating being a DJ in the nightlife scene and like with the Molly and the drinking and the drugs. No, that's what I'm saying. There's different kinds of DJs. You know what I mean?
I am so glad you brought that up, because I'm gonna take a little tangent here and say that's one of the things that I look forward to after being in the nightclub world for 32 years of my life, since I was 16, and growing up with brothers who were punk rockers, who were playing bands and being in the mosh pits and hanging out in those places. But now I do events that like during the day, like we'll do a Sunday DJ event with our silent concert. I can have 7 different DJ booths, 7 different genres. And the people that are now my age are like, I don't want to be out till 2:00 in the morning or 1:00 in the morning. I want to surround myself. Not that it's bad. I don't have anything against it. It's like, but I can't take my kid there.
Yeah.
And I want to expose my kid to this music, but the only way I can get that is usually if they went to a nightclub and show them it responsibly. We've had a lot of parents that have come up to us say, this is really awesome. I can do this from 11:00 to 3:00 on a Sunday afternoon, bring my kids to the park and have a family outing. Yeah. I get my dance music on. My kids love listening to the dance music. Then we all go home and, it's not that we're getting old. It's just finding new avenues or new ways to share those experiences where, your kid might be like we probably both did, sneak out of the house at 15 and a half years old to make it to the nightclubs and go party all night and come back in, not trying to get in trouble.
Yeah, but people like us, since we know the culture, we can be the healthy communicators and the bridge builders. So it doesn't have to be all or nothing. It doesn't have to be reckless, and it doesn't have to be all goody two shoes and like nerdy either. It can be like, it can still be cool where like parents can hang out with their kids and listen to music and during the day, and then just have go home at a respectable hour and just close it down at a respectable hour. It doesn't mean like you're square, you're goody two shoes, but you also don't have to be like super reckless. You can still have fun without like going to a point of insanity or hurting, going off the deep end,
Absolutely. You spoke a little bit about the start of your career, at the ages between 15 to 21. You mentioned Lindsay and Brittany and those Paris, and and you've been on stage. Do you become a different person when you get on stage or when you get behind the DJ booth?
1000%. And I feel I'm that way as well when I do stand up. More so with DJing, singing, stand up than acting. Because acting, you've prepared a whole craft and you're another different character. But with performing on stage of DJing and music and stand up, it's more like instead of being like kind of in depth and like deeper into it, it's more like it's like it's like a star just exploded. There's this explosion of energy. There's like this like protective star bubble around me, and so like no matter like when I'm on, and no matter when I'm on and dropped into it, no matter like what anyone says, like I'm in this magnificent like energetic flow, where it's like you just have to be able to go there, because artists who don't actually like prepare them and to have the courage to actually go there, when they get on stage or off after, you'll be like, wasn't in it. It wasn't that you were in it. It's because I didn't make the choice before going on stage to be fully in it, right? Mm-hmm. But people come off performing, they're like, oh my God, that was amazing. And so, like Who Kid, and when we were South Africa, it's on YouTube. It's in one of the YouTube videos. There's like 3 or 4 of them, but he says, like, how do you do that? And I'm just like, I'm literally like kind of wiping off some sweat after performing in front of 18,000 people. And I'm like, I don't know. I don't really think about it. I just do it. Right. I just kind of like go for it. When I sleep, I meditate. Like I flew all the way to South Africa. So believe me, I did some preparation. Right. So when I go on stage to go do it, they're like, okay, it's showtime. I'm like, okay, let's go. And I just go for it. So there's no thinking about it when you're on stage, right? You're putting on a performance. You're giving it your all, no matter what that is on that day.
Yeah, I've been doing this show for 12 years. Back when I first started with my friend on a hip hop public access television show back in '92, he always wanted to get me in front of the camera. And I'm like, no, I don't want to be in front of the camera. I don't want to be in front of the camera. He's like, why don't you want to be in front of the camera? It wasn't that I wasn't good at it. It's like, because everyone that gets in front of your camera, they're usually gone in 6 months. And I want to know how this works so I can stay here. So I want to learn what you do. I want to learn how to be the producer or the exec of the show, produce the show, make the show happen. And, over the years, I found myself, I got to do whatever it takes to make this show happen. I couldn't just sit back and say, I'll wait for a host or hostess to come along and then I'll start doing the show. I'm like, nope, I got to pick up the mic and do it myself. And just recently, I've been doing a DJ show for 12 years, and I've never learned how to DJ. I understand the concept of it. I've interviewed and talked with enough people about it. But just recently, I kind of made a persona for myself that I am now a DJ. And I
Cool.
get up on stage. I'm actually doing it tonight. It was so funny. I went live with the first time I ever did it on our channel on Twitch, and we took number 4 in the world. And I was like, yeah, I was like, okay.
Well, I saw on your bio you're a Twitch partner.
Yeah, we're a featured partner with Twitch. We were one of the first featured partnered live streaming DJ shows on Twitch. And that was a really big honor. Thank you for that.
Yeah.
It was an honor to be recognized for that, for putting all the hard work and everything we've been doing. And but now, like, I'll get up there and it's a character, it's a persona, but I definitely become a different person on stage. Well, I mean, kind of. If you see me, you'll still see me go, no, that's just Darren doing his thing. But no, I do ramp it up and get it up and have the energy, because I'm looking out and I'm seeing the crowd and how they're reacting. Yeah.
And feed off the energy of the crowd.
If I was just sitting there doing like nothing, I like to move, I like to dance, I like to smile, I like to get other people. That's why I'm up there. It's not just pressing a play button and just putting on some music and people going, yay. I want them to feel the energy that I'm feeling. So I can understand how becoming that different persona it is something that people do when they get on stage.
Love that. I love that. And you just gave me more inspiration to develop my characters even more for not only music, but stand-up. You know, Pussy Riot?
I do know Pussy Riot, yes.
Oh my God. Like, she is like fabulous. Pussy Riot's so fabulous. And I was just in Vegas for after party, and they had, it's like Coachella, blah, blah, blah. But it was the first arts and music, in real life arts and music NFT festival. And so they invited me, the creators, to go. So it was a grand experience. But yo, Pussy Riot performed, and she like really gives a performance. She has the persona, like she really goes there with her sexuality, her feminine power. She does like all these different things. But it was so cool because like to see her energy. So she's a DJ, she's doing music, she has her 2 dancers, but so she has like her 2 dancers for what she stands for, you know, breaking, you know, the stigmas and everything. But it was just really impactful and empowering seeing her perform. Same thing with Charlie Jordan. I saw her perform as a DJ. And like I'm very much like, in my DJ form, I'm very much of like, I would say like Grimes meets Skrillex, right? I'm very like, my vibe is very much like Grimes meets Skrillex with like a dash of like Purity Ring. I love Purity Ring. And when I saw Charlie Jordan perform, she was wearing this all neon green, but she had this like flower thing about her. Not like she was a flower child, but she had this like essence and angelic, like graceful vibe. And I'm like, I told her the next day when she wasn't performing, I was talking to her, I'm just like, yo, like, it was so cool, like watching you perform, because your grace, your energy, you're the first person I've met that like that I feel like it's like I match, like that matches mine. And she's like, oh, thank you so much. And she was like really sweet. But so I'm excited to see you perform live. I'm really excited to see you and your thing. And I'm really excited for you to see me, because I'm going to take my performances to another level. I've been able to do that through my music videos. So in Dreamland 1111, I went to shoot a music video, and when I was done and I looked at the footage, I was shooting multi-dimensional footage. I had no idea. I shot 2 music videos in less than 6 hours. So I have Dreamland 1111 and I have Miracles Goes to Mars, and I shot 2 music videos that you can put in the show notes if you want. But that was really cool. So through my spoken word music videos, I've been able to put on that persona. But I feel like more so now when I do stand up and music, when I DJ, I need and want to, even on my TikToks, I'm TikToking every day now. Even on my
TikToks.
What?
I saw your TikTok page. You got tons of them up there.
Oh, I'm going to follow you. So I'm doing this new thing. I have a 5-month commitment. I have to do at least one a day, but I want to like get dressed up in my like, you know, vibe and do some TikTok videos like that, you know? And it's, and for me, that's the same thing as being an actor. Like when I get an acting project, I put on my shoes first. What am I going to wear? Even if when I go out, it's like, what jewelry do I want to wear? What do I want to wear? A hat? What shoes do I want to wear? And then that's how I build my character. And then I get into the language, right? So for DJing and for stand-up, instead of being so focused on like the material of what I'm going to say and so focused on like like when I'm going to make a beat, I don't just like, oh, what am I going to make? I'm like a kid in a candy store. I'm like, I want to make music. I go and I look at the packs. I'm like, okay, this is the vibe I want to go for. And I experiment and I just go for it. Right. But I definitely want to start dressing up more. I think that would be a lot of fun, very playful, and it distinguishes you from the crowd when you do that, I feel.
Absolutely. One of our resident DJs who goes by Disco Vinny, DJ Disco Vinny.
Yeah.
He always has a theme every show that he does. And like, he'll like, I mean, it is amazing the amount of production or what he puts into just what he does. And he's a more of a local DJ. He's not a touring DJ. He's not trying to get on the Insomniac or Live Nation or these big tours or circuits, or I mean, he'd love to tour in different cities, and all that fun stuff. But he's it's really about the show for him. And he does really well on Twitch with the audience there, because it's for him, it's a lot of interaction and a lot of dress up and costume to what he's doing. Yeah.
I don't know anything. I don't know anything about Twitch, so I don't know anything. Maybe we'll talk or something like that.
We'll have to have an offline about. You'll have to brief me on NFTs.
Yeah.
I'll debrief you on Twitch.
1000.
Absolutely, because that's what I wanted to talk with you next. Was you mentioned it just a few moments ago about these art exhibitions that you're doing, these NFT art exhibitions, and I see there's a number of them that you've gone to. Was the one you just got back from in Vegas, right? That was
after party.
The after party. I mean, so you had South by Southwest. Is that coming up? And then Dominance.
Dominance. So yeah. So all of those art exhibitions that you're looking at, I was featured as an NFT artist. So I've always wanted to go to South by Southwest, and I haven't been. I'm like so snobby. I'm not going unless I'm performing music. I'm not going unless my film's there. Like, I'm not going. But they had the very first NFT art exhibition, and 2 of my pieces were included. And then in the month prior, there was Domance. It was the first VR experience in the metaverse, and my spoken word poetry was in there that I directed and produced. And that went on for 3 weeks. And because it was such a hit, the Domance, they put the Domance in South by Southwest. So I had 2 different NFT art exhibitions at South by Southwest. Yeah. Then Metaverse Radio. I got to hook you up with Metaverse Radio. They're amazing. I'm in the very first Music Hall of Fame in the Metaverse. And I'm one of the very few female non-binary artists apart, because he's like, they say it's mostly like dudes, mostly guys, so that's cool. But and then the Mirrors out of Chicago. In the last like 7 weeks, I've been a part of 6 different art exhibitions where they're featuring my work as an NFT artist. So it's been so cool to collaborate and work with other people and have my work in this. And then I'm in another one coming up with Searchlight. That's coming up next month, which is really exciting. After party, my artwork wasn't there. The creators just invited me to go be a part of the experience as a healthy communicator,
Was that the one where you bought an NFT and that was your ticket? I know there was somebody that's throwing events, and I thought it was in Vegas. You bought the NFT ticket, and it's an NFT ticket. Exactly. They always give you access to the event as long as you hold on to that NFT ticket. Is that the one?
Yeah. But I didn't buy a ticket. They just gifted me one.
Nice.
Yeah, but that's it. That's what you do. Yeah.
Yeah.
And they have the passes you can get through the NFTs. I think from the website, and then Opensea. But then they have the Utopian NFTs as well. There's only 1,500 of them. And when they had the Twitter Spaces a few weeks ago, there was just like over 500 sold. But they go for 8 ETH, which is about $20,000 US. Yeah. So, but I mean, if you have it, I think it's a very smart move to make, because it's kind of like being one of the founders of like Burning Man or Coachella earlier on, where later on when people catch up of what's going on, you could definitely sell that, I think, for hundreds of thousands of dollars, if not more.
I'm also glad you kind of provided a segue into my next question I was going to ask you by talking about Metaverse Radio and the NFT Art Dome exhibition in where was that, in VR chat, or where did they put that up? I would assume it was VR chat.
Yeah. There was there's galleries. So there's Spatical, that's a gallery, and you can download the Spatical app, SPATICAL.
Yeah.
And then there's definitely the VR website as well. So hold on one second. I'll get it for you. 1 second. Art exhibitions, Domance. So yeah, Domance, Metaverse, Searchlight, Spatical Galleries.
Okay.
So that's where it was. It's the first immersive NFT Dome art exhibition.
Awesome.
Yeah, so they have web, like on the website they have the links. And then for South by Southwest it was Mint Gold Dust. Mint Gold Dust is the website. And then the Mirror Towers was another one, and then Metaverse Radio, Crypto Voxels. So a lot of they have collaborations with Crypto Voxels. So it's another platform where you can go in and see the Hall of Fame and you build avatars, and you go in and you can like see the NFT art, and then you can hear the music. Yeah.
The reason why I bring this up is we just launched our first 2 VR nightclubs in alt space. We're super excited for this. We launched Entry, which is our entry point where you'd come in. And then we launched Beta Nightclub, which is our bigger nightclub with our multi-room nightclub. And we called it Beta. Well, Entry is, like I said, it's the entry point. You come in, you see our shows. It's a smaller version. And that's so we can get listed on the event space on alt space, because you have to meet certain requirements. It's not one size. One shoe fits all.
To perform. Oh my God,
I was gonna invite you. Well, one of the things that I wanted to talk with you about is not only in VR in our nightclubs. One of the things we are doing in our bigger nightclub Beta and our subsequent versions is to launch an NFT gallery inside of there as well. That every month will feature a different artist. We're getting ready to actually. We'll probably be producing anywhere from 1,000 to 1,200 hours of content a year, in addition to having an NFT gallery and also be streaming live at least 8 hours a day. There will be a morning shift and a kind of evening shift based on Pacific Standard Time. So I just was really excited when I hear other people are getting into VR, getting into AR, and doing NFTs and combining both of them. That place is, to me, it's like website 1995, website 1998. Get online, get your space now. If you're an artist and you're not talking NFTs now, have a nice day. I don't mean, okay, you can do your own thing, but have a nice day. And if you're not talking about VR, and AR is going to be a few years out when it gets like commercial in the sense of things. But if you're not talking VR now, it's like saying, oh, I have a MySpace page, but I don't have my own website. You know, it's like if you don't have your own branding in there and you're creating something in there, to be on top of it and get those people, because you never know who you're standing, quote unquote, standing next to in a VR environment. You can be standing next to one of the founders of Burning Man, or a record producer, or a CEO of a label, or somebody from halfway around the world who knows somebody who knows somebody, and they come in there. You just be nice to people in there, and you're talking with them. And like, I met a guy when I first debuted my Beta nightclub, and just told him my whole vision. He said, come check out these spaces with me. Come check out this. And then it turns out he throws like 300 person parties at his place outside of San Diego, California, that are mini Burning Man parties.
Dope.
And it's like, and he knows a ton of people in the community and all this crazy stuff, just because he sat there was just, I thought maybe some points he wasn't listening to me or he's tuning out. And he's literally like, no, dude, my jaw is hitting the ground because the way you're laying this out, the way your vision is going for this, you're making it happen. And I'm like,
you said, you're the visionary. You're the visionary. I'm like, my mind's blown right now too. I'm like so excited. I'm like, I can't even get a word in here. I'm just so, no, but alt spaces, they're a part of the exhibitions I've been a part of over the last few weeks. My work has been featured in alt spaces. are a couple things. Do you know Net Gala NFT? Do you know?
I don't. We were
Okay,
I'm just about ready to start doing our NFTs because we're going to start NFTing our videos that we do as well.
So
like I said, we probably should have an offline conversation about this NFT stuff.
Oh yeah, my podcast is an NFT podcast. Like I wanted to drop it over a year ago as an NFT podcast, but April 4th, I'm dropping my podcast. The first 10 episodes, 11 episodes as an NFT podcast. But I want to introduce you to like Scott Fu and Goshfather, Sam F. Those people who have NFT Gala, they actually gave me a founder's wristband.
Nice.
So I'm a part of the community. They have a Discord, they have a Twitch, things of that nature. It's going 24 hours. So I want you to be a part of that Discord so you can see what you're doing. But I want to definitely like connect you with them, and then we'll connect more on different levels too. That sounds
awesome.
Well, it sounds a lot of fun.
Yeah, I always love that's what this is all about, is about meeting other people, talking with them, finding out, sharing their experiences, and hopefully helping out others in the community to find out about information, resources of where they can go. That's what the DJ sessions has always really been about. So I really appreciate you taking the time to talk with me about that stuff today. I know we got a whole nother Library of Congress to talk about other stuff. I do want to get back to a few final questions here in the interview though.
I definitely want to tell you two things.
Go for it.
I created a pink sheet, so you can put it in the show notes, but I created a pink sheet of divine feminine energy and people that I respect and admire who are bridge builders in the community who are doing things. So you can follow them on Twitter, on Instagram, and you can get into Twitter spaces of where they are to listen and to learn, to ask questions and to grow your community and get involved with people who are leading the way in Web3. So I have a pink sheet. When people go to chonacas.com, CHONACAS.com, and they sign up for my email, I have an automation that sends you the pink sheet automatically.
Okay, awesome. I was going to say, do you want Melbert to just send it over to me and I'll take care of it?
Yeah. The other thing is I need to plug in my laptop because it's on red.
It's all good. We'll take care of this.
1 second.
We'll get it all up there. Uh-oh. 1, 2.
What?
3. Oh, no, you're plugging in your laptop.
Yeah, I need to. All right, give me a moment. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, sure. Da 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 da. This is the title of the show where we take a battery break because it's never been done before, but that's okay.
Okay, so wear my head thing for continuity, but you're not even going to hear me from the microphone. Now you're only hearing me from the laptop.
I heard the change in volume, but don't worry about it. It still sounds great. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to do a little jump cut, and flash it out. I actually did a little song and dance when you were gone.
Heard that.
But I was just joking. I've never done that before. Okay, so I'll do a jump cut. We'll come right back, and I'll edit it out, and I'll just jump in with the question.
Sure.
So a few more questions to get to before we let you get going to everything you got going on there. This question I was wondering about is, if Hollywood made a movie about your life, who would you pick as the main actor?
Wow, that's a good one. I think Kristen Stewart would do a good job. I think, I think Kristen Stewart would do a good job of now. If they did like jump cuts later on, maybe I think Natalie Portman would be a good one. I'm trying to think if they were doing like me as a child, right? If you look at Reese Witherspoon in this Man on the Moon movie, how she looks as a kid is like how I looked like growing up. But so yeah, I think I don't know who would play me at like the 5-year-old or like a 13, 14-year-old. I would have to look at the newer actors, the younger actors for 13, 14, 15. But I think for like 20s now, I think it would definitely be like Kristen Stewart would be a good one.
Awesome. And if you could put one non-famous person in the spotlight that means a lot to you other than your direct family or friends, who would that be and why?
Oh, that's a great question. well, I can't choose anyone that I'm close to, family and friends, right? So, because I would take this one person who's a great beacon of light, who I support. But I guess it would be, one second, let me think. One of my friends, oh, not my family and friends. Not so someone I don't know.
Someone that you think deserves the spotlight that isn't out there yet, but you might not have a familiar bond or a familiar like friendship with them. Like maybe somebody in passing, somebody you've seen at a show, you've seen act or perform, or an up and comer that people don't know about yet.
You know, I have a friend, her name's Isolda, and she's the one that got me on the tracks for my podcast when she had me on hers. She has a heart of gold. She's so sweet. She does so much. She has 6 published books. She's an amazing writer. I met her in stand-up in 2019. She does everything for everyone. She also reads tarot cards, and she used to work at NASA. She's from, Europe, but she grew up in Michigan. So we had a bond for Michigan, but she's someone I really respect and admire. So I think she could definitely have some more limelight and support on her. But she's such a good person, and so sweet and so talented. So if I could give more limelight to her, for her to have more assistance and people helping, I think she would be an amazing advocate. She actually has 2 podcasts. One is called the Innovative Mindset Podcast. She's been doing it for years. And she has another one. So she's definitely very busy and very creative.
Thank you for that. And one final thing. Is there something you would like to say to new and up and coming directors, producers, actresses, musicians, DJs, author, poets, filmmakers, podcasts, or NFT artists that they should watch out for when it comes to making their career successful? Something they should watch out for.
Yeah, a couple things. They should listen to my podcast called She's All Over the Place, because there's like over 80 episodes of valuable content and information that you can learn from. And so do your own research. For NFT artists and any artists, when you're on Twitter and you're on Discord, you can go to settings and turn off your DMs. So you don't get DMs, because in Discord, people will not DM you. It's all scams. Do not click on any links on Twitter. Do not click on any links in Discord. And so the best way is just to turn off your DMs in Discord, so you're not tempted. That's how a lot of the scams are happening in Web3. So people who are onboarding and learning, I would also say go to chonacas.com, CHONACAS.com. So you can have an automation set up so you can receive the pink sheet. And those are people that you can follow. We have it organized pretty well, and we're just going to keep adding to it. So those are people you can follow on Twitter and get into Twitter Spaces, start learning. And the other thing I say for the rest of the people is start messy. When you have it all in your head and you want to figure it all out before you start, don't do that. Like, meditate it. You've already been thinking about it. You already want to do it. Hack it, apply it, and do it. Start messy, and everything will flow and fall into place. Because the imposter syndrome, being a perfectionist, is so real, and it's a death threat. And you can wake up 2 decades later not doing what you desire, not what you want to do, because you want it to look or feel or be a certain way. And it's never going to be that. I don't want to say never, because we shouldn't use exact words of always and never, but it's rarely going to look like that. And when you show up and you take the first step and you actually apply it, you'll uncover other things that you'll be interested in. It'll unfold a whole nother path for you. And then also you might be on a path where you can, the other thing I would say is ask for helping hands. In Web3 and Web2, I know it's not cool. It's very isolating to, there's a lot of gatekeepers and figure it out on your own. But in the new world and in Web3, it's be vulnerable no matter where you are, and say, this is my weakest link. Can you help me? And be vulnerable to ask for that help. Because if they say no, it's a good thing, because it's going to clear way for the people who will help you. And so say, hey, I need help. This is my weakest link. And someone's like, oh, I can help you. Great. Then that lifts like 15 bricks off your back, and you can, go further together, a lot further together. instead of isolating and feeling like we have to do it alone. So definitely change up the psychology. I do industry coaching. So if you want to hit me up, we can definitely, you can be a part of my Zoom classes that I have every other week, or I could do industry coaching with you because everyone's stuck in different places.
Two things that was great. And two things I personally took away from that was that a friend of mine, a very prominent lighting designer on the West Coast, does a lot of big shows. He knows how busy I am. He's not very active on the socials necessarily, but he'll see that I post a lot of stuff online. And one thing he's come to me and says, Darren, stop doing everything yourself. And once I started adopting that mantra and I started putting a team together, it was just recently, I realized now I have a VR developer, I have an NFT guy, I have 3 virtual assistants, I have a mobile app person, I have a social media manager, I have a website dev team, I have 18, all these things, but I couldn't, this show was not about me. It was about helping others, but I also need help.
Yeah.
You know, I can't do everything myself. And you're right. Those people that say no to you, this is what I took right away. If somebody says no or puts that gatekeep up, to me, I see that as a hurdle. I got to get to a yes. So I go whoop right around it and find somebody who's going to say yes. Or even if it's researching myself, so I have a better understanding of it the next time I meet somebody, I can get to that yes quicker.
And we don't blame and shame the person who says no. They're being authentic. It's not for them.
Exactly.
And you're saying thank you because you're not wasting my time and I'm not wasting your time.
Exactly.
So we don't blame and shame if they're not the right puzzle piece, right?
Exactly.
That's why when we're kids, they teach us to play nice.
Yeah.
You know?
And the second thing you talked about,
outsourcing is, I mean, you grow, you trust yourself. I found when I did what you're talking about, I started trusting myself more, and I had this internal strength from within my core. I became stronger. I actually accomplished more because I was outsourcing things.
Yep. Absolutely. 100%. And you actually mentioned this before that segment, was the fact of do it messy, do it unorganized, and don't just wait, make the steps and start making it happen. My first show that I ever did to broadcast television, that I execed on, was called Phantasmagoria. And I went to this person who was a very prominent casting director in the area at the time. And I was pitching her my idea, telling her what it was all about. And I said, but I want to wait until I have enough money to put it on the air. Ooh. Because I had enough money to put it on for half a season, but I didn't have enough money to put it on for 13 weeks. And she turned right to me and says, no, you don't wait. You go put this show on the air right now, because if you don't, you're always going to be waiting for that money. It's going to set you in a pattern that you're going to wait for this and wait for that and wait for this. And then guess what? Somebody else is going to come out and release a show just like yours. And I went, okay, cool. I took my financial aid money. I lived off popcorn for about 3 weeks and put my show on the air so I could get my Nielsen ratings, so I could start pitching it to studios. And it was just like, I tell people that all the time, don't wait, just do it. But you know, I wouldn't be anywhere if it wasn't for my to-do lists. That's just 3-1 to today.
Oh, wow.
Pretty at the start. I'm actually going to make a coffee table book one day of all my to-do lists. Like, I don't know what I'm going to call it, but if it's a working title, The Secrets of My Success to do, or just call it to do. It's just like, it's all my to-do lists over the years compiled together in a book, and it'll go through different phases, but that's a whole nother project.
No, I've seen I've been to museums where you see Keith Haring and other artists, and it's like, you see their notes and you see certain things. And I mean, I have all I have like yearly planners, and they're like labyrinths, and they're all like, you know, different things. And I keep them all. And one day you can like look back and see the journey of what I'm doing, but you could just photograph them and turn them into NFTs. Yeah.
You know, that's a great thing. Thank you. That's a great idea. I mean, the funny thing is you can go back like with that and see, and I probably will know every note, whether it was some huge project and it was 2 words, or there was something like do laundry.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Doing laundry. I got to do that too.
Yeah.
You know, but it was such a joy talking with you, Katie. Thank you so much. Is there anything you want to share with our DJ Sessions audience before we let you get going back to your awesome lifestyle over there?
Well, this has been awesome. And I just really appreciate being here. Anytime I can add value in any way. I think we gave a lot of impactful information, but yeah, I mean, if people want to check out my NFT collections, just go to chonacas.com. Chonacas. I have a merch store. So if you want to support me as an individual, as an artist, and you, instead of wearing Mackie, you can wear something of me on your show. But anyone listening, if from the show, they send me through my website a receipt that they picked up some merch. I'll give them a shout out on my podcast.
Oh, right on. That's a great idea.
That's a good one. But it really means a lot for as an independent artist to be supported. And I want people to be having my merch that I made. There are beautiful collections that I have. Not only with NFTs, not only do I have it of my podcast, but with NFTs, like some of the utility is you have 1,100% commercial rights to do things. So I can, my Tokyo Punk from my friend Sabet is my logo. And also I made a whole merch line. So I can make money off of my NFT that I bought.
Oh, that's cool. See, I'm having a friend. We're waiting for Erythium. Gosh, we can have a whole nother conversation about that, but we got to get going. Katie, it's such a pleasure to have you on the show. We definitely will be following up with you here in the near future because there's always so much you have going on. That website, one more time for our listeners.
Oh, yeah.
Viewers.
CHONACAS.com. Chonacas.com, my last name.
All right. And that's Katie Chonacas on the DJ sessions coming in all the way from Manhattan. Not to, was it Flatiron? Flatiron. On the wonderful island of Manhattan in New York City.
Let me know when you're in New York and LA.
Definitely will. Thank you so much for being on the show.
My pleasure. Thanks for having me.
You're welcome. And don't forget to go to our website, thedjsessions.com. Find us on Twitter, find us on Instagram, find us on Facebook, find us on TikTok. We're out there, the DJ Sessions. And you know what happens on the DJ Sessions? When it's that time to go, it means it's time to go. But on the DJ Sessions, the music never stops.